What's up, everybody? So today we're gonna do something a little different. I haven't done one of these in a while because this isn't my normal content, but we're gonna do an elephant in the room video. This one actually kind of stood out to me for a couple of different reasons, personal reasons actually. Uh, One, I know where the guy in the video that he's talking about, where it's coming from. Uh, I like how he phrased it, end of life retirement. I've been through that, so I know what that feels like. So my heart actually really goes out to the guy talking about this in the video. It's um it's not easy to process. It's not something that's very easy when you lose a friend like that, especially if you saw them moments before it actually happened. That's kind of sort of one of those things that stick with you for the rest of your life. The other thing is they're talking about child support, which yours truly, fun fact, I'm a veteran of the system. So I'm actually going to see how accurate this guy is, and I'm probably going to share a little bit of my own experience with it. I think the more of us that speak out about this, I mean, there's nothing that can obviously be done for me. Um, my kids are grown now. I mean, they're adults, but I am still paying money into the system to a fat ass ex of mine and her lazy ass husband. So my money doesn't even go to the kid. You know, fun fact on that one. But we'll get more of that as we go. Also, fun fact: I don't know what's gonna come out of my mouth during this video. So if you're one of those type of people that get all up in your feelings, you're easily triggered. I'm gonna tell you now, I'm probably not gonna be the guy you want to watch because when it comes to certain topics, my mouth has no filter. I don't care what the world thinks. I'm going to say what I think, and I don't care who it pisses off. So if you're one of those people that are easily triggered and you get butthurt over every little thing, or you're that type of asshole that looks for problems where problems don't exist, you probably want to go fuck off somewhere. Just putting it out there, because I want to be open and honest. Um, Most people are going to be able to hear what I say and understand where I'm coming from, but you do in this day and age have that group of assholes that piss and moan and cry like big babies. I mean, it's always wham, wham, wham. So, and I don't give a shit. So, that having been said, let's get on with the video. It's going to be a reaction video, but like I said, I am going to make some comments here and there and share some of my own experiences and thoughts. But let's get into what they're talking about. And I will leave the link to the original video in the description for those who want to watch straight through.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Mind of Moondog. In today's video, it's going to be a very touchy one, and I'm going to put a disclaimer out there right now that this one involves an individual that went into early life retirement, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, before I start this video, let me preface this by saying this all revolves around a subject matter that I have always had an issue with as a man and as a father, which is child support. Now, thankfully, I've never had to go through the courts for any of this. My mother's child has been great to work with, and we have a great co-parenting situation. I understand that this isn't the experience for a lot of other people, but there's no question that as a man, and as a matter of fact, that we have it terribly bad in two areas in the law, and that is in child support court and in divorce courts. Men have it disproportionately worse. Women get the benefits in these two areas, and it hurts to see a lot of good men that are kept away from their kids even when they want to be involved. They want to be more than just a child support paycheck father. They want to see their kids and be around their kids and have that experience with them. And
All right. He ain't wrong on that. I'm just going to point that out. Um, I have no experience with divorce court because I've never actually been through a divorce. So, yeah, I actually know how to keep a relationship. Not to be an asshole, but facts are facts. So if you want to know how to keep your marriage, you might want to ask somebody or whatever who has been married, for the better part of 2 decades. Um, that's just the reality. You got a lot of people out here giving relationship advice, and their longest relationship is like 6 months. You know, and you got people sitting there following their advice. But anyway, fun fact about child support, he's not wrong, and I'm just gonna put it out there. They don't give a fuck about you. So, new fathers, if you're new to that system, understand child support does not give a fuck about you. It is very much a Goodfellas type of fuck you pay me mentality when dealing with that court system. So all they want to hear is that you have the money. They don't care about anything else. And if you do not have that money, you will go to jail. That is the reality of that situation.
They're being prevented by the mother, whether it's out of anger, spite, out of being vindictive, bitter, any of these kinds of things. They're not allowed to see their child. And when you talk about going through the child support system, it makes it hard because men, we don't get a fair shake in child support.
Courage is a quiet determination to be there
You
for
gotta
our
love
patients,
that.
for our communities, for each other.
Our world. Regnus.
Court and in divorce court. So that's the topic for today. The caption here says parents on child support need help too. We struggling. So take a look. This is very emotional. I know I got choked up a little bit when I first saw this. So let's go through it.
I want to talk about something, and I might get a lot of heat for this shit. So one of my closest friends just committed suicide last night. He just came home from jail maybe a month and a half ago. Why he was in jail? Because he was late paying his child support.
It's wild to me that if you don't pay child support, you get thrown in jail. How does that, first of all, help the situation in any way, shape, or form?
It don't help the situation in any shape or form. Um, like I said from the get go, they do not give a fuck about you. I have literally been in an interview for a job that would have paid me $60,000 a year, and the day of getting hired, like when I applied for it, went through the training and everything else, the test or whatever, my license was valid, my license was good, because what they do is a lot of times they'll suspend your license. The day I was about to be hired for a $60,000 a year job, and it's probably the only job that I actually got denied, where I damn near, it took everything for me not. I teared up. I mean, it took everything for me not to lose my shit. I mean, because you're filled with so many emotions. When you're in a situation like that, they want you to get a job, and when you're right there at getting that job, they manage to fuck you out of that job and still expect you to pay them. And their logic behind that is, and I don't understand it, but they call themselves taking away your privileges because you didn't pay your bill. Well, what they do in reality is they chop your dick and balls off, and they still expect you to pay your bill. Even though you have no way to get to and from work because you can't drive legally now, you know, a lot of jobs, depending on what you're doing, in life, require you to have a valid driver's license. So, yeah, they kind of work against you. I've only ever had one caseworker in my entire life actually try to help me out with anything. That was right when I started, and I've only ever had one district attorney actually try to work with me on anything. And this is over the course of 2 decades of dealing with the system. So that's two people in total. And normally, most of the people that I run into, or that I have ran into over the years, are bitter ass women who got a chip on their shoulder and act like they hate men. or weak ass men who have their balls in their purse. Those are the two types of people that you deal with. Now, when you have money, they smile in your face and they're all friendly, but they're not your friends because they will fuck you the minute they get a chance.
That is terrible. And specifically, when we're talking about someone that is attempting to provide, but we all know how tough it is out here for the everyday person to find work, to keep up their own living, let alone have to pay what the court deemed is necessary for child support. It's not like they don't want to, but they're not in the right situation to do it. And so the resolution to this is to then throw you in jail where then for a fact you can't pay anything. And now you're keeping the father away from the children. They're locked up. You're making them into a criminal. You're setting them back because how hard is it going to be for them?
Fun fact also, when you do go to jail for falling behind on your child support, you are not in like a special section. In other words, you're not, there's not like a special area of the jail for people who fall behind on their child support. They actually lock you up with motherfuckers who actually commit real crimes. I actually have shared cells with people who were in there for committing murder. So they do not segregate you or separate you from actual criminals at all whatsoever. Once you go to jail, you're an inmate just like everybody else. And every time that I have went into a jail from falling behind on child support, which was, let's see, a total of three, maybe four times in the last 20 years that I fall behind enough to where I actually, one of those times I actually, because this is the other thing, they will talk to you like you are shit on their shoe. They will not talk to you like you're a human being. And I remember there was one time I was in court that the judge actually talked to me so nasty. I turned around and nutted up on his ass. And I'm not even gonna lie. I told him where he could go stick it. Now I was in there with money. I was actually in there to pay this shit up. But he talked to me so nasty that, and I was raised never let nobody talk down to you like, you're a piece of crap. So I gut checked his ass. I got a nice little contempt of court thing and spent a weekend in jail for it, but I did not apologize. I did not take it back. I meant every word that I said to him. And I will tell you this, every time that I've ever went to court and saw that same judge after the fact, he has never talked out of the way to me ever since. So sometimes you do have to bite the bullet and pay the price for your self-respect. Do not let these clowns talk to you like you are less than human. Um, the other thing is if you end up getting locked up, obviously, your mentality is going to change when you're in that cage or whatever, so don't go in there trying to be nobody's buddy. Just do your own thing, stay to yourself, especially, if you're going to be getting out, you know, because a lot of times, what would happen when I fell behind, I would end up having to take out a loan just to pay the shit off, just to go back and pay off another loan or whatever, because they wouldn't give me the time I needed to try to come up with the money. They pretty much wanted it right then and there, and if you didn't have it, you're going to jail. End of story. It really didn't matter. They really do not work with you on any of this stuff.
Them to find a job after they've been arrested and gone to jail for late child support payments. When I tell you we have it bad. And
Oh, and there's another thing I wanted to say because he made a comment, if I'm not mistaken, about that being on your record, going to jail for child support. I don't know about all states, but where I'm at, it does not show up on, like, if you do a background check, going to jail for child support is not going to show up as a crime. It's not going to count against you on trying to get a job. What counts against you is if you go to jail for an actual crime, theft and stuff like that. You guys know all the crimes. I'm not going to label all of them. You guys know what you should and shouldn't be doing. But child support is not labeled as a crime. Basically you sit your ass in there until it's either paid or I want to say the maximum time they can hold you, and don't quote me on this because I've known guys that have been in there longer than this, but it's ballpark 6 months you're sitting your ass in jail. So you're basically it's probably whatever they're wanting you to pay is however long you're gonna sit in there, which of course you're not gonna get a job if you're sitting in jail. So I mean, a lot of people that I've seen have opted to just pay with time. I mean, they'll go in there, they'll take their jail time or whatever, and then however many months down the road or whatever, they get released and give them the finger. I mean, I once saw a guy or whatever go into a courtroom. Judge asked him how much back child support he had to pay. The guy pulled out 25 cents out of his pocket and was like, I got 25 cents to give you. And I mean, I was laughing because I'm like, dude, you are so going to jail. I can't even believe your dumb ass tuned your lips up to even say that ignorant shit, you know? But I mean, you see all kinds of different people when you sit in that courtroom. And, I've only been in court a handful of times, but each time that I have been in the court, it's been an experience dealing with these idiots because most of them, like I said, they're pretty much all some wrapped up in stupid and rolling in dumb shit, and it's usually bitter ass women that you run into or whatever, or weak ass men. You know, that's usually the ones that are locking your asses up. Some of them don't even have damn kids.
And this shit needs to be the biggest reform for men is in this area. Child support, divorce court. Let's continue.
He did a year bid.
1 year. Wow.
He just came home. Every time I was on the phone with him, all he ever wanted to do was to see his kids. Figure out how to pay child support and see his kids. That was his main goal when he came home. But the judge yesterday, when he had court, told him he had 25 days. 25 days to come up with $3,500 or he was getting a warrant for his arrest and going back to jail.
This is what's wild to me. How does a judge not look at the circumstances of that individual to know whether or not they're capable of getting that money to do in a 25-day period? Putting the
They don't look at it because they don't give a fuck. As I've mentioned before, they don't really care about what your circumstances are. They only care because what they do is they basically say, "Oh, you're just making excuses, whatever." And unless you actually walk in with some type of medical record saying you were like in a coma and unable to, and you were immobile, I mean, and I'm not kidding when I go to that extreme. I mean, it literally has to be basically that for them to excuse you of not being, not having to pay, or giving you an extension on the time in order to do what you need to do in order to pay. They don't care. There is literally zero help out there for anybody that's in this system. The other thing I found interesting when I first got into the system was they actually did my child support and my visitation all in one hearing. And I ended up getting lied to. Uh, I was told that all I had to do was basically, because I was thrown on supervised visitation and it was supposed to be until I had my own place. And when I got my own place, I found out after the fact that no, that's not what it is. You're going to have to pay a lawyer and go back to court in order to change your visitation. And so I, the way it was presented to me, I thought it was the same, all under the same umbrella. And I didn't find out until the hard way that child support was separate because when I brought up visitation to the caseworker, that's when I learned that they don't deal with that. They have nothing to do with that. All they do is collect the money, and that I would have to hire a lawyer. Now, I don't know what it costs now, but back then, just to even start a case, I was looking at somewhere between 5 and 10,000. You know, that's just to get the ball rolling, which is money I didn't have. So essentially, I was fucked. I had to make a choice. I either paid child support or I pocketed the money or whatever to go towards a lawyer. You know, so I opted to turn around and pay the child support to make sure, that my kid had everything, and yeah, I mean, that was a choice that I had to basically live with. There was nothing, there was no help. I never was able to afford a lawyer for either of my two kids because I had child support with a son, and then my firstborn daughter, years later, she decided to try to put me on child support. And here's another thing that's a fun fact. She didn't like the amount that they gave her. So what essentially happened is she went in and canceled it. Child support does not tell you why. Half the time they don't even know why. So if the mother decides to cancel it out of the blue, and in my mind, went to the worst place, I thought something happened to my daughter. And I'm sitting there because her mom was never very good at giving me an updated number or keeping contact. It was usually just, a go fuck yourself conversation. And I had to literally try to track down one of my daughter's relatives. Um, I ended up getting a hold of her aunt, who was basically able to update me, that everything was okay. But they will literally not tell you that whether or not child support was canceled because something happened to your kid or not. And that's a very scary thing because it can be canceled out of the blue, and you're like, okay, great, but why all of a sudden are you guys not billing me? Is my kid okay? And they will literally give you shit for information.
Together $3,500 for the everyday person is not easy in the span of 30 days. In this case, it wasn't even a full 30, it was 25 days. It was already set up for the L. Dude was already set up to fail from the court. This is wild to me. How do they not take this into account? Do they not look at their work history? Where did they work? Were they even before this got into the situation where it is? What was their normal income level like? Why would they not base the child support amount on what their potential earnings are based off their past income levels and potential earnings? It's not like this guy's gonna get maybe a 100K.
Okay, they generally do base it off your earnings, but here's the fun fact. Don't go in there with a good job. If you go in there with a good job, I had a good job when my son's child support was set up, and so the amount was kind of high, what they gave me. And at the time, because I didn't want to take any money from him, my dumb ass agreed to it. But then when I ended up moving to an area and I didn't have a job quite as good, I had to pay a lawyer to go get it lowered. Well, that's what they told me. I couldn't even afford the lawyer to pay to go get it, lowered. So I had to basically pay what I could on it, and basically hope and pray that they didn't lock my ass up because I couldn't make the full amount one month, shit like that. So they do base it to a certain extent, but I don't think they fairly base it. Like they don't, the math or whatever, I don't think it's done fairly, because you're left with very little to survive on after, they run the numbers and shit.
Job tomorrow where then he could just pop out that 3,500.
Oh, and the other thing is they will tell you too when they do that to go get a second job. I've heard that also. To go get a second job, go mow a yard. They will tell you to do whatever to make up for that extra money. So they're not listening to any sob stories because I've actually heard those arguments, in a courtroom. Um, I never really made too many damn arguments when I went to court because I already knew what the deal was when I walked in there. I already knew it was basically a fuck you pay me kind of system. You know, no matter what I said, it wasn't going to matter. I also kind of went in there with an attitude, a chip on my shoulder because I knew already they were looking at me like I was shit. So I didn't have nothing to say other than here's your money, get the fuck out my face. You know, you can either take me to jail or kiss my ass. I mean, either one. I mean, let's keep it simple, people. You know, so but they don't care. They will tell you get another job. Hell, they'll tell you work 3 or 4 fucking jobs. They don't care. It's a fuck you pay me system.
To me, that is just crazy.
You know what bothers me? That the government's giving out money to single parents, which I understand. We need it. But what about us parents? And I mean it, father and mothers that are on child support. We need fucking help too. I can't pay $1,000 a month in child support, which I am, and manage to pay my house, food in my mouth, and still provide for my kids when they ask daddy for something.
That's so true, and that's something that never gets talked about. A man can pay child support, whatever that monthly note is they got to pay, but when the child is with them, they're still paying. If they're with them on the weekends, every other weekend, over a summer, they're still paying the money to the other parent. And while the child is with the father, they're still paying for him in that moment. Food.
Yeah, and there's another fun fact to add on to this or whatever that a lot of people don't know. Um, any money that you give to your kid, if you want it to be credited towards your child support, you need to pay that to your child support. What I mean by that is, say you pay your child support, but you get, you pay like another 100, especially if you go back child support, and you pay, another 100, hey, get a kid, $100, you know, they will not count that off the balance. They call it a gift. So any money, any cash you give needs to go through child support. If you're going to buy something, if you want to give them money for something, buy it yourself and give to them yourself. Otherwise, it will not go towards your balance, and it will be called a gift. And the other thing with the kids, while I'm thinking about it, child support does not take all your kids into account. For example, my son had his set up first, and his was an extremely high one. My daughter's child support was set up second. Even though she was my firstborn, her mother didn't set hers up till much later. And it was a lot lower than what my son's was. So it wasn't evened out, like where I give, like, say, 500 to one kid, 500 to the other. It was more something like, one kid gets 800, the other kid gets 200 kind of thing. So because of that, I was not able to really provide for my daughter in the way that I should have been able to. You know, also a lot of that is really has to do with communication issues with her mom. In fairness, which my daughter does blame me for that, but what she fails to understand is you can't talk to somebody who's not willing to talk. You know, I've made the effort on my part to talk to her mother many a times over the years, but she's not really hearing that shit. So as a result, a lot of times, or within my case, you become a paycheck. You're separated from your kids for basically their entire life growing up. And you end up with kids that either don't give a fuck about you or they are very disrespectful to you. In my daughter's case, she thought it was acceptable to spam text me hate messages when I was actually trying to help her go to college where I live. She had called me up, asked to go to college. She sings, and so I hooked up some studio time with a friend of mine that's in the music business, and yeah, that didn't work out because I wouldn't let her boyfriend move into the house, who lived at in another state working at McDonald's. So I turned around and I told her, I said, "Well, I'll help you get an apartment, and then you can move him here, and then you guys can, live in your apartment together." Apparently, that wasn't acceptable. And so when I would follow up to find out what was going on, yeah, that turned into a bad shit show or whatever. Because at at some point you got to make a decision, people. And I'm only telling this because fathers, this might be the type of shit you're going to end up dealing with as years go by. And like if you haven't gotten any better visitation in the first 5 years, or even the first 2 years, odds are your kid's going to grow up and you're not going to see them, and you're going to end up with disrespectful kids. My son's all right. I mean, we get along pretty good. I just don't think that if something were to happen to me, that he would probably give two shits. You know. Whereas my daughter, same thing. Only she is more like her mom, and her mom was very toxic and abusive person. She just had one of those personalities, and so she thought it was acceptable, to sit there and rip into me for, all the past misdeeds, I guess you want to call them. And and it was kind of my fault. I let her get away with it for a while. So I have to own that part of it. I allowed her to do it to a certain extent because I felt it was, important to be able to get all of that out. But when it came time to shut that shit down, you know, she didn't want to shut it down, and so our relationship basically ended with me telling her that she needed to get therapy because I was sick and damn tired of hearing her bitch about all her damn daddy issues all the time. And I don't regret that. Make no mistake, I love my daughter, I love my son, I love my kids, all my kids, my grandkids, stepkids, you name it. I love all of them. But what I don't do is I don't let somebody talk to me like I'm shit on their shoe. So I basically had to shut that shit down with my daughter because you guys see these videos where you got all these triggered ass goofy fucks out there, whatever, the selfie taking motherfuckers who are disrespectful to their elders. That's pretty much was the mentality of my fucking daughter, and I basically had to shut it down. I mean, I don't know any other way to put that. So the point of me saying that is, fathers, at some point you're going to have to make that choice if you end up in that same boat. You can either let your kid rip into you left, right, and center on a daily basis, or you can shut that shit down. I would highly encourage you, for your own mental health, to shut that shit down. You know, just take the big hurt, realize, okay, life dealt you a shit hand, but do not let somebody sit there and rip into you left, right, and center and talk to you like you're trash. Because we don't fucking deserve that. What was done to us was wrong. And, if the kids want to act stupid also and rip into you because of shit choices their mother made, and blame you solely for it, because as men, we get blamed for everything. As fathers, we get blamed for everything. That's our lot in life. And most times we take that shit on the chin, you know. But it does fuck with us. And that's the thing that people fail to recognize. It does fuck with us. So, for your own mental health, I'm telling you, don't take no shit off your kids, because at the end of the day, you gave them life. They are alive and breathing because you gave them life. And if for no other reason, they should respect you for that. They're alive, they're healthy, they're living their life. They have a life because you gave them life. Mama didn't give them life by her damn self. It takes two to tango. Both parents are equally responsible for how a child turns out. But if one parent is axed out of the scenario, whether it's the mom or the dad, then how that child turns out is the sole responsibility of the asshole parent that did that bullshit in the first place. So, bottom line, don't take shit off your kids. Do not be afraid to tell your own flesh and blood to go fuck themselves. Do not be afraid to do that. You can still love them and tell them to go fuck themselves all at the same time. Do not tolerate shit off your kids.
Food. Oh, daddy, I want this. Yo, dad, can I get that? Oh, dad, can we go here? Do this. This is a terrible burden on men that just is not fair. It's not fair.
That shit's hard, bro. And because of child support, just stupid. My best friend took his fucking life. And I missed that fucking phone call when he tried calling me
Damn, man, that's sad.
at 3 something this morning. Yo, us parents, all we really want is our kids.
It's true.
Yo, you know what I mean? Like me, I miss my kids, but I can't see my kids because of fucking child support. Because I can't make payments on time, so my baby moms keep my kids away from me.
Alright, so I want to clarify or whatever. I get where this guy is coming from, but he is wrong about one thing. If if he's not seeing his kids because he's not paying child support, that's not a child support issue. Child support does not deal with custody. He's going to have to go to court because it is a separate issue, like I have said. He's going to have to go to court and fight moms for that custody. So whatever arrangement that he had under the custody umbrella, it sounds to me very much like he got screwed in that deal. And mom has sole custody, and he's probably on some supervised visitation shit. If they don't even have a custody arrangement set up, then yeah, mom's gonna have full control, or he can just go over there, or however that works. But he definitely needs to go to court, and it's easier said than done because, hey, I never had the money to do it, and he's probably struggling very much the same way that I was, poor guy. Um, but it's definitely a court thing that you're gonna have to go and sit in and try to do, whether you can save up and pay that. If I had it to do over again, to be entirely honest, I probably would have intentionally skipped out on some payments to try to pocket some lawyer money. So really, that's a personal choice. That's really a hard choice because as a man, you want to make sure that your kids are taken care of. But it's very hard when you're dealing with a difficult mother. I could not, I was never able to speak with either of my kid's mother. My son's mother, it was always, well, when you gonna send more money, I'd call to see, hey, can I get him, for the summer, can I have him come, see me, well, I'll think about it, when you gonna send more money? I'll think about it. When you gonna send more money? You know, my daughter's mother, a little more cruel. At least, I give her credit for at least being up front. She'd say, fuck you, right out the starting gate. It's fuck you, right out the starting gate. If I can't respect her for nothing else, the hatred, she was pretty consistent with that shit. It was fuck you right out the starting gate. You know, but a number always changed. My daughter tried to lie to me and tell me, oh, well, we didn't change addresses and phone numbers. And I'm sitting there, I didn't correct her on it. I didn't even bother to correct her on it because I'm sitting there with a fucking background check with a list of addresses and phone numbers longer than my damn arm. I'm just sitting there thinking, does this kid think I'm that stupid? Seriously? So you have issues. I mean, depending on the type of woman you're dealing with, each situation's different. But at the end of the day, a lot of women or whatever out there, are basically, using these kids as an extra form of payment. I've seen women in the courtroom, with like 4 or 5 kids with different baby daddies or whatever, collecting a check. I mean, that was like their full-time fucking job, popping babies out their ass so they could milk whoever the guy was for their paycheck. You know, that was literally their job, popping babies out their ass. You know, I'm not even gonna go there because I mean, that brings that whole argument with the whole abortion thing. Because you know it's some true shit. I mean, they want to argue, women want to argue to be able to abort kids or whatever, but they damn sure don't want you aborting that child support. They don't want you aborting that shit. You know, which personally, honestly, I feel if you are old enough to play, you are old enough to pay. I am definitely for abortion being illegal as all out fuck, with the exception of special circumstances only. Only in special cases. You know, I'm not gonna list them out. You guys should know what they are by now if you keep up with that stupid shit. You should know what the special circumstances are. But for the dumb average bitch that goes out there, opens up her legs and pops a baby out her ass or gets pregnant on every other Tuesday, and wants to go to the clinic and abort it as a form of birth control, that bitch absolutely should not be able to. It should not be that easy. Should absolutely not be able to go down there every other Tuesday to fucking have a damn abortion. Fuck that shit. Grow the fuck up, handle your shit, either don't have sex or be at least smart enough to use fucking birth control. You can't do that shit. You got no business fucking around in the first place.
Why? I really wish I could understand why women do this. If the father is not abusive to the children, is anything like that. And yes, I can admit and I can say, and to be 100% fair, if there's situations where there's violence involved, if whether it's emotional or physical, or the other parent, the father is a negligent, something to that effect, I can understand and would agree. Yes, as the
Alright, I agree with him on 99.9% everything he just said, except for the pansy ass emotional blah 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 bullshit. As a father, it is our job to be the asshole out the fucking unit. We're the ones that have to bring the fucking hammer down. Bottom line, we're the asshole or whatever, we're the one that the kids are gonna throw the tantrums at when we tell them no, we're the disciplinarians. So, y'all can miss me with that emotional fucking crybaby candy ass bullshit. As long as he's not beating on the fucking kid, and he's handling his shit, making sure that kid's taken care of. It doesn't matter if, he didn't have enough fucking cuddles growing up or her or whatever. Yeah, it's great to be there to talk to. I'm not saying don't be there for your kids. Obviously, you want, have some type of emotional connection. All I'm saying is sometimes it is our job to be the fucking hard ass. So any depending on the type of mentality of who you're dealing with, they could pick any single solitary thing and go, "Oh, he's emotionally abusive." Fuck off, get out of here with that. You know, fuck out of here. Nobody hearing that shit.
mother, you might need to keep your children away from. But if none of that applies, and if the only vindication or if the only reason to justify why you won't let your kids see their father is because you don't like him, you're angry with him still, you hate him, you despise him, he did you wrong, you're fucking trash. You are.
You're 100% right on that. As in basically the case with my personal situation, it would be that and basically having handout for money. A lot of women like to have that handout. Like I said, they turn your ass into a paycheck. You know, I started out with a shit ton of money in the arrears, and I nutted up in the middle of the courtroom to even get half of what they tried to nail me for knocked off. I think they wanted to take me for like fucking 150 grand in the arrears right out the starting gate in the hospital and medical expenses. And I nutted up right there in the middle of court. Told him I was like, the bed he sleeps in, I bought. The house he fucking lives in, I bought. The clothes on his back, I bought. The food he eats, I bought. I'm like, you think I'm gonna seriously pay all that fucking shit? Y'all can fucking kiss my ass right now and take me to jail. I won't pass go. I won't collect $200, and everybody in this courtroom can go fuck themselves. I shit you not, I said that. I shit you not. And apparently, the way I delivered it, the judge knocked off like roughly a little over half. I think it got knocked down to, instead of like 150 grand, it was knocked down to like 50 to 60,000. So I figured best I quit while I was ahead. Said thank you, Your Honor, and yeah, I took the win. I took the win. I didn't pursue it past that. I was happy that half. Excuse me, clear my throat here. Damn. I was happy that half of that shit got taken off, but I shit you not, my mind went blank. Right there in the middle of that damn courtroom, all I saw was red, and my mouth opened, no filter. Everything just blurted out. You know, I didn't give a fuck. They could have locked me up from that point till hell froze over before I would have sat there and paid 150 grand or whatever on fucking back shit right out the damn starting date. You know, you keep in mind this was over 20 years ago or whatever. You know, my kids are grown. I'm still paying off some of that back shit. You know, so then I'll probably still be paying some of that back shit for at least the next decade to come. I still am paying on that. The only benefit that you do get when you're focusing on arrears only is they will work with you to a certain extent to lower what you would normally pay every month. They will lower it a little bit. So I'm not paying nearly as much a month as what I was while the child was still growing up, so to speak. But it's still a shit ride either way it goes. Um, you know, even if I had the money, knowing that it doesn't go to my kid, even if I had the money to pay that shit off in one lump sitting, you know, one lump sum, I probably wouldn't. I probably would divvy it out every month like it is now, since I know it just goes to the mom, and I'll be like, bitch, you get your allowance and you'll get it when the fuck I give it to you. You know? Because that would be my mentality. I would not let her have the joy of having all that money at one fucking time. No way in hell would I pay that off in one sitting. I would sit there and string that shit along, you know. And some people, you know, have argued that concept. Well, why don't you just get it out from under your, you know, your belt, from over your shoulder? I'm like, because then she would be happy, and she fucked my life. Why would I sit there and give her all that money in one sitting? Nah, she can get the allowance, you know. She wanted to have her hand out for money all this time, so she'll get my allowance that I divvy to her every month. And depending on how I feel, I might intentionally skip a payment, because you can get by with skipping one or two payments, as long as you make sure you pay that third one. As long as you make sure you pay that third one, you know. Yeah, so you can skip a couple payments and be an asshole, and then turn around and actually keep paying. You know, you just have to pick up them payments. You know, and they won't say nothing. They won't say nothing as long as it doesn't flag their system. But I would recommend not going past a month pulling that shit, because I think on month 2 or month 3 is when your shit gets flagged. So you could probably get by a month, like skip a month, pay a month, skip a month, pay a month. You could probably stay out of trouble that fucking way for a certain period. If you just wanted to be an ass, I don't know why I'm giving you guys tips on how to be an asshole. I just thought it was some funny shit. But you know, hey, if you can pay it, if you can easily pay your shit, just pay it. You know, keep them out of your face. I mean, because it's more headache to deal with their fucking asses than it is to just pay the bill. The other thing that they fucking hate is if they can't automatically take it from your check. Like this last time around, because this his friend had to pay like, what was it, 3,500? Yep, 3,500. I had to pay 2 grand. I had to pay 2 grand. They did not like the fact that my current profession, I'm you know, doing my own business, they did not like the fact that they could not bill me from, my check, like, through a regular employer. That made them squirm so much, and they had such an attitude over that. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help us because we can't, take the money out, from your employer. I'm like, well, I'm my own damn employer. You get the money when the fuck I give it to you. I can't help you with that. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. You will get the money when I got the money. You get the money every month. Every month when the money's due, every month when you get the money. Period. End of story. There's your $2,000. You can accept it or you don't accept it. I mean, I don't care what you do personally. I mean, and really, I didn't. I personally didn't. I was actually willing because I was actually willing to let them lock me up just for the sole fact that she had such an attitude. Because like you go through this offer phase where you have to basically tell them, okay, how much you're gonna pay towards it. Okay, how about 1,000? Fuck you, go to jail. All right, well fuck you, I'll see you in court. That was my response. You know, of course it took a little coaching. You know, it took a little coaching. I'm not gonna lie. This is where I got chewed out by the women in my family. I got chewed out, that you gotta be a little nicer. I'm like, well, she was a bitch. I was an asshole. It was what it was. So I called her up. I said, you know what? I want to try this again. I'll offer you 2,000. Is that good enough? He said it was good. I said, great. I'll pay you when I get to court. End the story. End the story. You know, I wasn't extra nice, but I mean, because they talk to you like shit. You can be as sweet as you want to be on that phone. Hi, how you doing? You having a good day? You got your fucking money? That's pretty much what you run into. So after you've dealt with it for the better part of 2 decades, yeah, all of my fucking formality bullshit kind of flew out the window a long time ago. I've been fucked out of my kids' lives. You know, they don't care. They don't respect my ass. That's the product of being raised by their mothers. Is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. That's the fucking reality. I was a paycheck and a fucking sperm donor. I didn't get the opportunity to be a father. It was fucking robbed from me. I had to accept that reality. Now that I've accepted that reality, I've become more at peace with myself over it. A lot of fathers out there, y'all need to learn that if you're not going to get your kid, you're going to have to accept the reality, the hand, the cards you have been dealt. And you're going to have to find your own way to make peace with that shit. And blowing your fucking brains out is never the answer. Excuse me. Hope YouTube doesn't flag me for that because, I mean, I met with a blow dryer. There, YouTube, you happy? We all know what we're talking about here. We're fucking grown. You don't want to hit that in-life retirement stage because life kicked you in the dick. Just take your licks, keep it moving, and do the best you can with what you got. If you have faith, pray. If you have no faith, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Get counseling. I don't know what to say.
You are from keeping your kids from their father. It's literally trash. It's toxic. And you're injecting your feelings into the equation when it should be about your kids and allowing them to see their parent that wants to be involved. Here's the key thing. The father that wants to be involved, that wants to have them. I mean, don't you want a break from the kids? Have another weekend free to yourself to go do whatever? Have some time off? But there are so many women out there that are so angry and vindictive and use their kids as a pawn against the man to pay him back for whatever they did to them. Listen, what happened in y'all relationship as two adults, it happens. It's unfortunate. Whether he cheated or he didn't tend to your needs, whatever the reason is that you left him, doesn't justify
this game.
All right, there's that commercial again.
You're not ready for.
You not letting him be a father to his children and keeping them hostage from him. Let's continue.
Long story short, bro. We struggling, bro. Like, this is real, bro. It's real.
I think it's pretty clear. You can hear the pain and the sadness in his voice as he shared this story about what happened to his friend, all because he was behind on child support, all because the courts put a ridiculous, unattainable, goal for him to turn in $3,500 within 25 days to catch him up on child support. That this man went to jail for child support. He didn't commit a crime. He didn't rob no one. He didn't use a gun. He didn't do any of these other things that we know would justify going to prison, going to jail.
Fun fact, Judge told me this is the only bill that you ever get in life that they can actually lock you up for. It's the only bill in life they can actually lock you up for. Honestly, I don't know how it's legal that they can do it, but they do it. And my heart really goes out to this guy and the family of his friend, because that is some rough crap to go through. And especially, if you just miss the opportunity to talk to him, that's going to play on his head a long time. As somebody who's experienced, been through that experience, of seeing somebody briefly right before, it happens, that shit will play and haunt you for years. I mean, I still think about my experience to this day. To this day, that shit still haunts my ass. That's some shit. And that's the thing, guys. I know it's depressing, and because they do beat you down, and you feel like, what's the point in this? I mean, you feel like a big loser. You don't feel like a man. You feel like basically nothing, and it mentally breaks you down on so many levels. But you have to find that little spark really deep inside of us, that little bit of fight that you have left, that fuck the world fight, and you have to keep pushing forward. You have to find that, grab onto that shit, hold that shit tight. Do not let them break you down, because if they break you down, guess what? They win. And now the guy's child will grow up without a father, because his father did get broke down by the system, and they beat you down. I mean, and there's really nothing you can do, but like I said, if you have faith, I mean, pray for the families and everybody involved in this situation. But at the end of the day, no matter what the cause is, we are responsible for the choices we make. That's the hard reality I had to accept. When my friend did it, I had to accept the fact that he made that choice. That was his choice he made. And nobody else could have changed that. I mean, if he was that dead set on doing it, we could try to change it, but at the end of the day, once you make up your mind on something, it's made. And I would strongly encourage that nobody ever goes that route. Think of life as like reading a good book. Sometimes there's a bad chapter. The next chapter might be better. But you're never going to know unless you turn that page. You're never going to know unless you keep moving forward. You never quit. Don't quit. Just keep pushing forward. You'll never know. And that's the whole point, finding out. See how the next part of your story turns out.
It was for not being able to financially pay for his children. Did they take into account any kind of hardships that he's had? Maybe he had trouble finding work, keeping work, got laid off. There's so many factors that are involved in this. And the way our child support system handles it for men, if you don't pay, you go to jail. How does that resolve? How does that fix anything? How does that help the children? It certainly doesn't help the mother that needs financial assistance. So now you just lock him up. He can't contribute anything. Wouldn't $100 be better than no dollars? $200 better than nothing? Even if they were required to pay $500 or $1,000, even if, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. And this is an area where, as men, we don't get a fair shake. And it's an area that I would love to see more conversations had about, more effort made to get reform in this area. You know, Dave Chappelle said it in one of his comedy specials, and they know he said it as a quasi joke. He said it as a quasi joke, and it was something to the effect that if a woman can decide whether or not to have a baby, that's their right, that's their choice, 100% agree, then as a man, we should have a choice to decide whether or not we're going to pay for it. And it was a funny joke, but like he was also serious, right? How is it that one person can choose whether or not to have a life, the other person doesn't have a say in it, but then we also don't have a say on the financial side of it too? It's a topic to discuss in a broader forum. I'm merely here to share this story and say that we as men, by and large, don't get fair shakes in the child support system. And this is a tragic result and proof of how broken it is and where it can lead down to. And it's a terrible thing to see, especially, again, I want to make sure I'm clear before any kind of someone comes in the comments trying to say otherwise or spin this around. I'm talking about fathers that want to be involved, that are attempting to be involved in their kid's life, that aren't abusive physically or verbally. They're good fathers and they want to be involved. Not talking about the ones that ghost the mother or ones that are abusive, that 100% need to be away from the kids, 100% screw them. They want to be involved. They want to be involved. But there are a large amount of men that want to be involved in their kid's life and can't because the mother is being vindictive and being spiteful and is doing everything they can, using the court system and the leverage that women get in this court to their advantage. That is a terrible thing and something that we need to see change. What do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Hey, what's up, y'all?
All right. So, closing statements. For anybody that's new to the child support system, or you haven't yet been in the system, but you have to go down there, lawyer up. That's the best advice I can give you. If you have not signed any paperwork, before you sign anything, once you sign, you agree to whatever they fucking tell you. Now, prior to signing, you haven't agreed to anything. That will be the time that you want to get a lawyer, have your lawyer give you whatever options that you have before you actually start billing. I don't know if they can actually start billing you anyway without you actually signing that paperwork. That's because I know with my daughter, I had to actually agree and sign a form, accepting responsibility for her. And one of the big things or whatever, I could have actually got away with not doing that because one of the things that her mom pulled on my ass that I wasn't aware of till like well after the fact was one, my daughter didn't get my last name, gave her her name, and two, my name was never put on my daughter's birth certificate. Now all this shit was done without my consent. All this shit was done without my consent. And if I had wanted to be an asshole, I could have just simply not signed that paper, and I would have been done with it. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you talking about. I could have played stupid that entire time. You know, maybe I would have had to go get a lawyer. Maybe I wouldn't have had to go get a lawyer. Since I didn't play it that way, I couldn't tell you how it would have played out. I knew that was my daughter. That's my daughter. Whether my name is on that birth certificate or not, that's still my daughter. Whether her mother fucked me over or not, that's still my daughter. I'm gonna sign the paperwork. I'm gonna send what money I can to my kid. My mother took her fat ass down there to sign up for it. I'll sign the paperwork. I'll send the money. I'll handle business. She won't talk to me. Hey, at least she's talking to somebody, right? That was the way I was looking at it. Didn't help me on the visitation front, but at the very least, for the entire time that there was child support on my daughter, there's a record that I did send money. But she can't say I never sent anything. You know. And if she ain't gonna keep me updated on what the address and phone number is, I know she gonna keep them people that's giving her that check updated. She gonna keep them updated. If ain't nobody else updated, them motherfuckers are updated. The bill collectors are gonna have the updates. But like I said before, if they cancel child support, 9 out of 10 times they do not give you a reason other than, well, it was canceled on the other end. We don't know why. And you look at them and you're like, well, how do you not know why? I mean, ain't that your job to know? I mean, and the child supposed to be, your main priority, your interest. How the fuck do you not know? I mean, I flat out asked if my child was alive or not. They couldn't even tell me that. You know, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you like all kinds of crazy crap going through my head, and I got an office full of people that want to bill me, but they don't know crap from Crisco. And another thing before we end this video, recent thing I found out I'm dealing with. Now, y'all remember I talked about that 60,000 a year job where my license got suspended right there on the day I was going to get the job? Well, that pissed me off to such a magnitude. I never unsuspended my license. So, so I found out recently because they're trying to fine me double time because I decided to go back and get my license. They're turning around. One, they're trying to make me pay a double fee, talking about, oh, well, we suspended it twice. And I said, no, that ain't working. Because they're basically what they did is they suspended a suspended license. And I'm looking at them like, are y'all stupid? You can't suspend a license that's already suspended when I never unsuspended the motherfucker in the first place. Well, it's a child support fine, sir. Well, that's not your job to fine me. That's the child support office to fine me. You're DMV. Your job is to pay me to pay one simple fine. You give me my license, and then, oh, and here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. They tell me because my license was suspended so long, I no longer have a license, that I would have to retake the driver test. I said, hold up, let me process this. Now you're trying to double fine me on a license. You're trying to charge me. You suspended a suspended license that don't even fucking exist in the first place. Because you've taken my license or whatever. You tell me my license don't exist. So now you're trying to fucking suspend me not once, but twice on a non-existing license. In what world does this fucking make sense? Like, I literally pissed the lady off because I'm like, are you stupid or what? And I wouldn't have got that nasty, but she basically, when she read it was child support, started talking down to me like I was like the fucking shit on her shoe. So, of course, me being me, I returned the favor. Talked to her like she was the biggest idiot on the planet Earth. You know, I even sent them a nice little feedback letter or whatever on how brilliant their shit is. I'm supposed to give some lady a call, but I had a bunch of shit happen, so I just hadn't gotten around to it because one, I was busy. Two, it's not a fucking priority to me because, and this might make some people laugh, but my family's like, "What are you gonna do?" Because I told them I'll drive anyway. Well, what are you gonna do when the cops pull you over? I just tell them, hey, "Where's the license officer?" Oh, it's on the back of the bumper. Sir. License? It's on the back of the bumper, officer. Yeah, I got a license. It's on the bumper. Now I don't recommend everybody, take a page exactly out of my book, but I've been going back and forth with the system long enough that sometimes it's just a little fun to fuck with them, because they fuck you so hard that you at least might as well make it an enjoyable experience. You might as well have a few laughs, you know, make them look stupid, fuck with them a little bit, have fun with it, guys, you know, especially new fathers. If you're getting fucked hard, find new ways of fucking with them back, without getting yourself in trouble, preferably. But sometimes, you got to pay the price, and it is what it is. The system is definitely corrupt. It is very much a fuck you pay me system, and they will screw you over. So if you are not in the system currently and you get contacted by them because of whatever situation might be going on, you break up, the chick, you know, uh decides she hates you and wants to take you, to court and all this other good crap, lawyer the fuck up. Lawyer the fuck up. Figure out what your rights are. Take what money you have and try to get a lawyer if you can afford to do so. Otherwise, you walk in that system without a lawyer, like I did, you're going to get screwed. You're going to get screwed hard right from day one, and it is what it is. And while I have been generally talking about how fathers are getting fucked over by the mothers, I do want to be fair in this video on a final note. I have seen it go both ways. I have seen some damn good mothers out here, damn good mothers, get fucked over by the fathers. And we do have some irresponsible parties on both sides too that don't own up to paying on their shit. And there are some people I have to admit probably deserve to get their ass locked up. But for those that are out there trying, whether you're a mother, you're a father, or whatever, the case may damn well be, the ones who are actually, trying to put in the work and getting screwed left, right, and center, you know, all my hopes and prayers are with every single last one of you guys. I mean, love y'all very much. Stay in the fight. Do not opt in for that end of life retirement crap, whatever that dude said. It is never the option. It is never the option. You know, always keep pushing forward because at the end of the day, the thing that I managed to find peace with was the fact that I made all the right choices for the circumstances that were before me. I was able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I can look at myself. I'm good with the choices I made. I did the best I could. I wasn't perfect. Did I make mistakes? Yes. Did I drop the ball with my kids sometimes? Yes. I'm not a perfect parent by any means. I fuck up. I fuck up big. You know. But I loved my kids and I did the best I could with what I had to work with. And at the end of the day, that's all any of us can do. None of us is perfect. None of us is God. None of us, is all knowing and all powerful. I mean, so you know, we're only human. And there's only so much we can do. And quite frankly, you can't do it by yourself. So I mean, if the other parent's not willing to work with you and they're an asshole, there's only so much you're gonna ever be able to do on your end and ever be able to accomplish. And the only thing you can do is pray that your kids grow up and see things for what they really are. Or in my case, or whatever, at least with one of them, because I believe my son has a pretty good grasp on reality or whatever. You know, intelligent boy. But in my daughter's case, for as intelligent as that girl is, she still has her head crammed straight firmly up her ass. She is definitely her mother's daughter in that regard. They got the same toxic personality, same everything, and yeah, I love my daughter. I always will love my daughter. But until my daughter wakes the hell up, I mean, there's nothing I can do. I mean, got some growing to do. Hopefully, maybe, she's done some growing over the years. I mean, it's been a few years since we talked, but I left the door open. She can walk through it. If she don't ever walk through it, that's okay too. Life goes on. Same goes for all my kids. I'm an equal opportunity asshole all the way around. I love every last one of them, but I don't take no shit off none of them. You know, I do love them to death. I'd trade myself for any one of them, but I ain't gonna take no crap off of them. I mean, it is what it is. In any case, let me know what you guys think or whatever about this whole situation. I do think we need a revision on the child support system, if not do away with it entirely. And how about the government, worry about their own shit and let parents worry about theirs. Because honestly, the government doesn't need to be involved in family business, and that's half the problem with this damn country and in the world already as it is anyway. Anyway, let me know below in the comments what you guys think. I wish you all the best that are having to deal with any kind of crap or drama in your life. Love you guys very much. Take care. Stay safe, everyone. Like and subscribe, please. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.